I'm Zara, and today we're going to be watching a very highly requested K drama.
I'm Sophia, and let's get started.
We are NoonaTalk, where we talk about K-pop, K-drama, K-culture, K-beauty, everything else that you need to know if you're a K-stan, especially for Desi.
You can follow us on Instagram. You can watch our podcast wherever You can follow us on Instagram, and you can listen to our podcast wherever podcasts are available, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, Amazon Podcast, and you can also watch us on YouTube.
Today we're doing another episode of K-drama or K-flop. Today, we actually asked our Instagram followers to choose what show we'll be watching because both of us have not seen a lot of the classics. K-drama and K-flop
Hmm.
is a format where we watch the first episode of fairly popular K-dramas and decide whether or not it's worth watching the entire K-drama or if it's a K-flop.
Hmm.
What are we watching today?
Today with a very like sweeping polls ho gaye. Everyone on Instagram was like, "Nahi, you guys will watch Goblin,
Yeah, it was
the
nearly like
guard."
half of the votes. Like it
More
was
than
like
half.
nearly 45% of the
Yeah.
votes.
Yes, it's Goblin, aka Guardian, the Lonely and Great God. And I've been meaning to watch this for so long because every time, like I was telling Zara, every time I look, what K drama should I watch? Everyone's like Goblin. But I don't know, I'm not that much into fantasy drama, so I never really like picked it up. But today is the day.
Yeah, today's the day we finally try.
Mhm.
What do you think? Like we've not seen the show. What do you think the show is about?
Hmm. Okay, so I mean, I've read like summaries here and there, and I've seen people talk about it, and I know it's got Gong Yu in it, who's beautiful AF. But I think it's about a do. I know it's about like a Joseon dynasty. Like Goblin is like this magical creature, and he lives in the past, and then he comes into the modern world, and he's looking for love. Like that's the general concept that I have picked up from whatever I've heard.
Okay, that's a lot of things. I knew none of this. I
Really?
feel like I feel like I've only heard about it from hearsay, which is that it's
Okay.
fantasy and romance, which are
Mm-hmm.
things that I do tend to like. I feel like we've all
Hmm.
sat and watched Pirates of the Caribbean, we've all sat and watched Lord of the Rings, which doesn't really have romance as a thing, but like it's there. Um,
I didn't realize it was. I thought it was one of those like time traveler's wife kind of a thing where it's like you're a
okay.
magical creature and you're meeting like. So I'm gonna like pick up the Wikipedia summary of the show, the cast, of
Hmm.
course. So the genre is fantasy, romance, drama, and comedy. What's left?
Horror.
That is true. And it's starring Gong Yoo, of course, and it's got Kim Goon, who was in King, the Eternal Monarch, and the girl. She's in Yumi's Cell.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, so that's the main person. There's also, yeah, there's Sanjay from BTOB. B2B. So that's like the main cast, and the general synopsis is that Kim Shin is a decorated military general from the Koryo dynasty, and he's framed as a traitor killed by the young king. Years after his death, he is cursed by the Almighty to stay immortal forever. Okay, did not see that coming.
Wait, no. How is I don't know. I don't understand this, but like a lot of times, like even with vampire lore, it's always like, oh, it's a curse to be immortal. Why is it a curse?
Because I got bored, like who wants to live forever? ऐसा क्या चल रहा है?
I
It
don't
keeps
know. I'm
imagine
down.
the same shit keeps happening like constantly, like every 100 years
That's
you're like
also
war
what's happening
hai,
every day
women's
in
right
life,
rally.
okay?
Yeah, but still it's more repetitive, right? Like
But then you
same
don't have to be
people.
worried about things, right? You're not like, oh,
No, no.
time nikal raha hai.
But like then there's no deadline, then what are you doing? Like
Hanging out, having fun, not being stressed about.
forever?
I don't know.
But enduring the pain of seeing his loved ones die as punishment for the soldiers he killed to protect his country. That's really
Why is
odd
he punished?
because he killed other people.
But
Anyway,
like everybody killed other people.
he becomes an immortal goblin, helping people with his powers and being a kind man in spite of his grieving past. The only way to put an end to his immortality is the goblin's bride, whose aid is pulling out the sword which will end his painful immortality. So this is King Arthur meets. Uh,
Let's go
okay,
watch. We'll be
yeah,
right
let's watch.
back.
But before we can get into it, yeah, here's a quick shout out to one of our Instagram followers who's been supporting our content. If you want a chance to be featured for the next time on our episode, make sure to subscribe to our channel and also follow us on Instagram and leave a comment on this video.
That was
So
very long.
yeah, like 1.5 घंटा, bro.
And we watched it on
Movie चल
1.5.
गई. Okay, and like not only long, but so much happened. Like there was so much going on. I think maybe like what the first episode was doing was establishing plot points because so many plot points were established. And I was kind of intrigued, but it was, I think the genre shifting, which like we did see, it's like
Huh.
drama, comedy, what else? The romance and fantasy.
I feel like in first episode we didn't necessarily hit romance as such, but the drama and the comedy and the fantasy really did
Fantasy, yeah.
overlap.
रोमांस का
Um,
establishment हो रहा था. You know
शुरू
that
हो
like
रहा है,
one
yes,
scene where he's in the क्या कहते हैं?
buckwheat thing.
No, not the buckwheat thing where he's under the umbrella and she's walking from school and
Oh,
he
and then
turns to her and then the crush song plays like this is going to like keep repeating throughout the show.
also,
Be like
okay,
the
I
moment.
knew that he was a very good looking man. In 2D and in photos, he's always looked very good looking. And that's how I've always seen him. I've never actually watched a show where he's in. Man is so good looking. What the hell? Like, I think I said that every 5 minutes. I was like, why is he so good looking? What is going on?
Okay, so let's do like okay. So first, what did you think about okay? So there are like 5 different plots, right? Like the first is shuru mein ke uska like the fantasy thing that happens, or the king is like punishing him for treason, which I didn't understand. Like,
History,
what was the
history.
treason?
Yeah. Yeah. Even I didn't
Huh?
understand the treason part, the historical aspect, the
Yeah,
actual OG story.
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like
yeah.
I'm very
Establishing the
confused.
reasoning.
It kind to me it felt like main guy, Goblin fellow, was
Mhm.
affairing or maybe had intentions with the queen because the queen got murdered.
No, no, the treason was that he killed people.
He had to kill
Was that
people.
not
That's how
the
you.
treason?
I don't know because why did he kill his wife? Is what I mean. And then that entire tense scene in the king's courtyard,
Hmm.
and she said, "Oh, kingshim, you go because I'll be okay. This is my destiny."
Yeah, that's true. That was odd. But yeah, so that happened, then the Halvoji and the child happened, and then the sword thing came. Like this, that was one thing. And I think it kept switching. I don't know. I was just very confused. But I did, after watching it, I did kind of want to be like, but what
अब क्या होगा?
happens? Also, the
Angry.
girl who can see ghosts, like I was here for that very sixth sense. Like that's what I mean. It was like pulling from 15 different movies. There was some Pirates of the Caribbean elements. There was some like Ramayana,
Harry Potter
Mahabharata, like
styling.
Harry Potter styling, Harry Potter music, like
Mm.
and yeah, and then there was the whole I see dead people.
Yeah, I feel like yeah, no, actually I am very curious where the story goes because there's at least like a solid
Hmm.
um let's see, 16. Yeah, so there's 15 more episodes to go. And they've
Hmm.
packed in so much information in the first episode.
Yeah.
So what then happens in the future? Like I'm so
या लाइक
curious.
फर्स्ट एपिसोड में वो पूरी स्टोरी लाइन हो जाती है कि वो शी इज प्रेग्नेंट शी इज डाइंग गॉब्लिन सेव्स हर शी कम्स अलाइव हर किड इज बोर्न द किड लाइक लिव्स थ्रू 9 years then
The
the grim
mother
reaper meets
dies.
her like this is an entire show in itself if you just like use it.
Exactly, yeah. It's a
Yeah,
movie. It
yeah,
felt like we were watching a movie.
yeah, yeah, it did thing because usually when there's these many plot points, you're just like, "Rehne do." But that's what I mean, which is why it's giving Game of Thrones because this is exactly what Game of Thrones did, where at least in the first season, it established like multiple plot lines which were completely unconnected, and then they kind of like keep pulling and exploring those, which is what kind of it makes things interesting if
Yeah,
done
yeah.
well, of course. Yeah.
Okay, what is one thing you liked about the episode and one thing you didn't like about the episode? One thing that I did like is that you're right. There were multiple plot points, and it was very confusing to keep up with. But now that we've come to the end of the episode, it's very
Hmm.
interesting, and there's so many dynamics that it has left me curious. So that is
Yeah.
one thing that I think I liked. One thing I didn't like, and I know this is just genuinely going to be a me problem and not going to be an everybody else problem. I don't like the fact that she is 19. I don't
Hmm.
like it. I don't want her to be 19. And for him to, I know he's an immortal, so regardless of whatever, she will be younger to him. But it's the teenager aspect that bothers me. Like, I don't like that. Like, why couldn't she have been 25 or 35? Like, why 19? Just no, is not for me.
Hmm.
Do you have
True.
anything?
For me, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did like the not the okay. First Gong is really beautiful, and Sanjay is the Grim Reaper. Like I kept looking around like I know him, and then I realized, oh yeah, this is Sanjay from B2B, which is wild. I liked. What did I like? I did it kept me intrigued, I think, and like they did kind the plots kind of did connect at the end, which was good. It wasn't कि बस कुछ नहीं like कुछ हो रहा है throughout, and then you're left at the end of the first episode with no idea as to what is happening. Whereas instead the first episode ends with, oh, why are they in another country? Oh, is she the goblin wife? Oh, what will happen? Like it ends at a place where you're like, अच्छा अभी और तो बताओ, where does this go? I like that. I disliked how disjointed the initial storytelling was, where it kept going back and forth between present day and past, which it just disconnected. And yeah, I think there were two things. Like one was the curse of the Almighty, and the second was his treason thing. And I think
Hmm.
those weren't like explained that well.
Yeah,
Like if I
I
hadn't read the summary, I probably wouldn't. I mean, I still don't completely understand, but I'm sure like eventually as we go, pata chalega. But could have been
perhaps.
executed better, like in terms of storytelling. But I think the acting and the sets and everything was so elaborate.
Which leads me to the most important question: is it a K drama or is it a K flop?
I think it's a K drama. Like, hmm, I'd go for it. What about you?
Yeah, no, I absolutely think it's a K drama. Like the way I really want to watch the next episode, like right now, like it's very intense because I want to know what's happening. So
Yeah.
absolutely K drama. What would you how would you recommend this to somebody? Like what would you say like who should watch this?
Anyone who likes historical fantasy, I think this is definitely historical fantasy and romance. I think are two genres I would recommend it to. Not somebody who wants to watch like something like a 300, but somebody who, again, like I said, like fantasy, like Time Traveler's Wife, or maybe like even not necessarily Game of Thrones, but maybe if you like interesting multi-plotted shows.
Ha. Yeah, it's not a clean cut, straightforward romance. There is more like going
More
on,
to it.
which is
Yeah.
which is fairly common with K dramas. There is always like a darker subplot.
No, but like the romance isn't the like it is the main plot point, but it's not only romance. It's like
Huh,
fantasy
there's
romance,
other
which is
things
kind
going
of elevates
on.
it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so if
true.
that is something that interests you, then yes, I think you should watch it. Yeah, so this episode of no wait, do you have more?
No, I just wanted to like have you guys watched this show? Let us know in the comments what you think about it, because everyone recommended it to us, which is why we checked it out. So, what have been your thoughts? Like, do you disagree with what we're thinking? If you've seen the entire show, I'm sure you'll have other things to
No
say as well.
spoilers.
Okay. But just generally, like, what was your what was the impact of this K drama that you wanted to recommend it? And if you haven't watched it, would you be checking it out after listening to our podcast? So tell us in the comments below. And
And this was our episode of K drama or K flop, where for the second time in a row, it's a K drama.
yeah,
And keep
that'll be
telling us if
all.
there's something else that we should be watching. Also, remember to subscribe to our channel because we do a lot of reactions along with our podcast episode. And follow us on Instagram.
Okay, bye.
It's beautiful life, beautiful day. 너의 기억에서 내가